Hello everyone, my name is Reader Ward and today I'm going to be talking about my experience going to Berkeley's or UC Berkeley's Hackathon. This really fun experience I had was I was invited to go to UC Berkeley's Hackathon, which was called CalHack 6.0, and it was held at UC Berkeley this year. So I got to go out to California for the first time and see San Francisco and Berkeley and all those pretty areas, and that's what a lot of these video clips are going to be showing, and it was a really fun experience. So the first part of my story begins with my plane flights and everything, and that turned out to be a really bad experience because several of my plane flights were either delayed or I had really long layovers, and before I knew it, just getting from Orlando, Florida to San Francisco in California ended up taking almost 24 straight hours of sitting in airports and sitting on planes. So I was pretty tired, and I was an hour late to the competition, and that made it even worse because as soon as I arrived, I had to catch an Uber and take an hour-long drive from San Francisco to the Berkeley campus, and so that made me another hour late. So by the time I got to Berkeley campus, they had already started the competition a few hours before, and I had been up for almost 24 straight hours, and I had to then start this 36-hour competition. So it was pretty rough at the beginning, but I started, and something else I should break down is at this particular hackathon, there were two levels of ways you could compete. You could be a hacker, so just a basic, like one person, which was the majority of people. There were about 2,000 people that were hackers, and so you could join any 2 to 4 person team and work on some sort of product that solves some sort of problem and compete for scholarships and prizes and all that jazz. And then the other thing that was in the competition were what was called mentors. So mentors could be anyone of any age, really. So a lot of the mentors, there were about 70 of them. A lot of the mentors were older and had graduated out of school and everything. So I definitely fell out of place showing up late. And this is my first hackathon. And then showing up as a mentor, and I'm the youngest one there, and all the other mentors are like, one mentor I met owned 3 different startups in the Silicon Valley, and he was like 35 years old and all this stuff. So it was quite intimidating. And I was quite tired at the time. But the way you can compete as a mentor is you help all these different teams work through the problems they're working on. Usually it's code. And so I'm a computer science major. Most of my internship experience is with software, and so of course that's up my alley, but there's a lot of different types of coding you can do, and a lot of the code that was being developed there was in languages and platforms that I had never used before, so that was another difficulty, but it was a fun challenge though. And so basically the way I competed as a mentor was I went from team to team that was working through maybe a bug in their code that they couldn't figure out, and I would go over and assist them and try to help them figure it out. That way they could have their app or whatever they're building fully working by the time 36 hours was up. That way they have at least something to present to the contest judges. So it was a really fun experience. What I ended up doing was I just got an energy drink, and so I was kind of hopped up on caffeine, and I had missed 2 meals in a row, and so before I knew it, I was just like really hopped up on caffeine, really dehydrated, and hadn't had food in a day. So I was just in this weird state where I just kind of felt like a robot, and I just worked really hard, and before I knew it, 15 hours had gone by, and I had worked through the night because I arrived there at midnight. And so by the time I really realized what time it was 9 a.m. the next morning, which I might have not calculated those hours correctly. It was more like 9 hours, not 15. But by the 15-hour mark, So at the 15-hour mark, the next day, which was not 9 o'clock, of course, which was like 2 or 3 in the afternoon, I finally was just like, I need to take a break. I've been up for, I finally got to a point where it was late in the competition, and I'd been up, if you include the plane flights, been up for 40 hours straight. And I was just really burned out, and it was finally hitting me. And the whole robot mode had totally gone away. I was just extremely tired and very hungry and hadn't had anything to eat and just a little bit of water to drink. And of course an energy drink, which that wasn't a good idea. But I worked through a lot of problems. I ended up being able to help 15 different teams. And with each team I spent between 10 minutes fixing a problem, and then there was one team I spent over an hour working on multiple problems and hardware stuff that they were trying to figure out. And so it was quite a lot of ups and downs. But I really, I feel like I'm talking mostly about the cons of this experience, but there were a lot of pros. Because even throughout that whole competition up to that point, even though I was tired and wasn't feeling well, it was really fun trying to figure out these very challenging puzzles, essentially, figuring out where software errors were coming from or hardware issues. And thankfully, I was blessed with being able to figure out all of them. And so my name actually went to the top of the leaderboard on the TVs that were in the arena there. So that was really fun. And then one of the contests, one of the directors of the contest ended up coming up to me and saying, "Hey, we found out that you've been up this whole time and you've been doing really well, and honestly you can't do too much better, and it would make the most sense if we just let you leave the contest early and end with that and get early access." And I was like, "Oh no, I'll just keep working and I'll finish out the 36 hours." And they're like, "No, you need to get sleep. And the only thing you can really do at this point is just help maybe a couple more teams, but it's not really a good idea to stay up much longer. You should go get some sleep." And to help convince me to leave, they let me interview with all the companies that were sponsoring the event, and so that was really fun. I got to interview with 30 different companies in those last 6 hours, and then before I went and got some sleep finally. And surprisingly, Walmart corporate, they're one of the biggest, highest paying internships that was present at that competition. And the representative from Walmart was actually really mean, and it was kind of odd. At least it was to me. I presented my resume and told him a little bit about myself, and I was like, "Hey, I was just wondering about the internships you have open," and he is basically just like, "Let me get back to my lunch, leave me alone." And but I went around to all the other recruiters and ended up doing full out interviews. And if you're a computer science student like me, when it comes to just my experience, the people that really struck me were the people from BlackRock. The employees from BlackRock were super nice. They gave me a lot of details about all their different internships, and a lot of them gave me their personal numbers, and they're just like, "Call me anytime if you have any questions." And so honestly, if I was going to apply for an internship, I'd probably apply for them much quicker than I would for Walmart. Arrived safely in the hotel here at the San Francisco Airport Hotel. Got kind of a cool room for the night before I go get my flight back. But yeah, had a really fun trip. I totally recommend going to Cal Hacks. You can get in and compete or be a mentor or anything. It was honestly like a really, really fun experience, and I totally would do it again if I get another opportunity. Hope you enjoyed the video, and subscribe if you aren't already, and see you in the next video. Bye-bye. Anyways, this was a super fun experience. Thank you for watching my video, and I hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any questions about hackathons or about this one in particular, which was Cal Hacks, feel free to leave a comment. And like the video if you liked it, and I'll see you in the next video.